What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today is going to be the update on the Blade Vortex. This is going to be the last update before the min-max, but I wanted to get an update out to give people more direction. When I initially posted on the Blade Vortex, it was in a really, really early state. There was a lot of really simple stuff that I hadn't done to the build yet. So I want to go ahead and showcase it in a more finished state, and then show you all the stuff that is not going to be staying in the final build, so you don't try to copy exactly stuff that's gonna change, and explain a lot of other stuff and directions that you could go with min-maxing. What's the most expensive? What's the most cost-efficient upgrades for the build? Stuff like that. And then obviously the min-max is going to be like, I've basically upgraded everything that I can. This is as sweet as it's going to get. Just copy this. So we're just going to run this map real quick. 172% quantity. Ooh, owie. Spicy. The heck, man. Worst thing about Headhunter. Ice Golem. Ooh, Elemental Weakness. I'll go and show off some of this stuff. Do we have any high tier seeds? Oh, they're not cooked. Oh, they're just baby seeds. Well, that's boring. I got some tier 3s in here. Okay, we'll do a big group of tier 3s. How much juice you got? I want the juice, because out of purple it looks like. Yeah, I'm out of purple. Alright, so obviously I'm going to want to start off with Max Blade Vortex, but nice and easy. Let's see if there's anything. Get my missions real quick. And I had like one. Alright, here we go. For some reason, I like every single tier 13 that drops for me is is that one. So so yeah. Let me trade in real quick. Is there anything else in here I need? Okay, so normally this is some good information. Normally what I do is like these caster rolls. So I have just a bunch of at least item level 83 wands, and then I just take and I roll these caster rolls to try to get good bases. Hey, I got a physical to all physical spells, so that if I wanted to mess around with that, I could keep that. This one doesn't look that good, so I'll take and roll this one. And my dog is crying. Fire spell. There's nothing else. So these are the best ones. The caster plus caster. So basically I just roll these, try to get the best stuff. If you're planning to do physical items, you can use the physical plus more physical also. There's also the fire plus fire. You can do those for trying to craft your ring, which is what I did. That's how I get my base to my starting point, so it takes me the least amount of other crafts to get to where I want to be. And I don't care about Nico. Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and finish the map.
My mana is gone.
Up you go, little beast! Away! We will be best friends. Oh,
Now we get to see some headhunt.
you see what they said?
Cleared it all. I don't have that in my... Don't have one of those in my collection yet. That was nice. Alright. So that was it mapping. All that stuff to put away. Okay, so let's talk about tree stuff. The stuff that I still have to upgrade. My displayed POB now is... So it's displayed as 8.24 million. 93.51% crit chance. There's a lot of damage. Well, first of all, it's not counting 60% of my multiplier in this calculation because of the enchantment that I have on my wands. There's also a lot of damage that I'm missing. I haven't put into my clusters. This one's kind of just a placeholder, but I will tell you the clusters that I'm going to be going for. I'm going to be going for increases to curse, because my crit chance is already really high, and I'm actually missing a really easy 80% crit. I literally just haven't taken the time to buy it, and that's just on my diamond flask. I haven't gotten the crafted enchant for 80% increased critical strike chance, so that's a lot more crit there. So I don't need to pick up any more crit stats. With the crit stats that I have here and my 2 chances to deal double damage, which, you know, I'm also picking up Unholy Might, which I don't even know if I have Unholy Might selected in here. Oh wait, what the heck? Why is it all moved around? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm 8.55 million. I might have something else not selected also. I don't know. But yeah, so we have a good reason for that. The other thing that I want to point out this is kind of a good like float spot. Like if you need to convert fully to fire, if you can do it without using this, then I would suggest it because you will have more damage. I can show you this in the PoE DB. Where did you go? All right, there we go. So we can see my damage. If I go ahead and select this, I lose a bunch of damage. Um, yeah. So it's a really easy way to convert all of your damage, but it's going to make you lose damage because we're picking up a lot of extra damage. Um, and it's just going to reduce the actual damage that damage does because we have Unholy Might, which is 30% as Chaos. So that damage gets converted to fire, but that also gets reduced. Deal no non. Oh yeah. So actually, that makes us completely lose the chaos damage. So that's a really big loss. So I would try to really avoid that. For some reason I thought I thought I'd convert a percentage of it. No, it completely gets rid of it. So you would basically lose that Ziri, and you would lose Unholy Might, which is 30% of physical as extra chaos. So yeah, that would be a really big loss. So we really don't want to do that. The way that I've gotten to full conversion is with just crafted on 25% physical damage converted to fire. Um, if you're not at a place where you can get that onto your gloves, then you have an easy way to convert everything if you need to. But that is just a little heads up. So in this video, I am going to be posting my account name. So if you want to follow the build, I normally do this in like past leagues. For some reason, my first two build guides this league, I forgot to post my account name. I leave it open so you guys can follow the build and see like what I'm doing as I progress. But in this video, I'm going to cover everything that I plan to do so that you guys, if you already have the currency and you're ready to min-max it out, like if you got it ready to go and you just need the direction, then you'll be able to do it. One of the biggest things is finishing my jewels. Eventually, I want to have these triple multiplier. The multipliers that you want, you either want global multiplier. One of the best rolls is going to be multiplier with dual wield weapons. That is an 18% multiplier that you can get in the top, and then you can still get a multiplier for spells in the bottom with global multiplier, which will give you 28 plus 40, 30, 46% multiplier, which is a lot of multiplier from one jewel. So obviously I'm missing out on a lot of possible multiplier. This one doesn't have any. This one only has one. I think this one's garbage too. Yeah, this one has none. And I think I have some more somewhere. That might be all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. Okay. So I got 5 jewels I need to reroll. I'm probably missing over 100% multiplier pretty easily. So that's a lot of missing damage that is literally just like, I need to get those things. Once again, also, Diamond Flask, that's really easy critical chance. I'm just have extra movement speed on there, which is nice. Some increased movement speed is nice, but it's not 80% increased critical strike chance. Wands, something I want to touch on the wands is like you might have seen my wand crafting video and been like holy shit, I have to go for these really hard to get wands. If you can go for it, it is going to be a little bit better. If you can, like, in the state that this wand is in right now, you might look at it and be like, damn, that thing's a beast. But the reality is it's actually losing currently to this wand for the simple reason that its rolls aren't as nice. And what are the rolls? It has a tier 2 increased spell damage and a tier 1 number to number fire. If we want to see this, which makes these, the original idea of this was a lot of number to number, a lot more spell damage, and we can still get a ton of crit chance and multiplier out of the wands. To demonstrate this, we can go ahead and look at my items so you can see my damage. So this is the double plus 1. If I were to switch it to 2 versions of the Soul Call, you can see I actually gain damage. And you might be like, damn, like that other wand is better? Well, it's because I have a tier 4 roll on the other wand. So if I'm able to get my, which I can re-roll indefinitely till I do hit a high percent fire damage, it will be better. But you know, that's a lot of struggle to get that. So, you know, these are going to be a lot easier to craft or a lot cheaper to buy. So you don't have to go for that. Really, the main reason for going for the +2 is you have to pick up one +2 somewhere if you want to get to that level 25 plus Blade Vortex to get that extra AoE size. Which you can go for a +2 on your amulet, +2 on one of the wands. Any of these places, a +2 is going to make it so that you're able to do that. So you don't have to stress about getting it on the wands. It's going to actually be much easier to get a +2 on your necklace. So that could be an option that you go for. You can craft a +2 necklace. So if you want to do that, I'm going to talk about the best way and the easiest way, because that's kind of what this video is I'm, you know, pointing you in the direction of all of the best paths that you can take. You can see where I'm at right now and be like, all right, that looks sweet. And something I'd like to point out, I am playing with the headhunter. I've switched around stuff, so, and I think I accidentally pawned my my Stygian, which is absolutely horrifying. But this is my second take on this video, and I realized that I don't have my Stygian anymore. So yeah. Had to run it with Headhunter. Obviously, the chest, I did the craft video on that. This is the best craft that you can go for. You could wind up, you know, not going for strength on the chest. I could actually still fix this very easily. If you watch the video, you'll see how easily I could fix this. I could basically just re-roll the bottom. I can guaranteed put the critical on there by doing a caster slam, and then I can just do caster to get caster till I hit the tier 1. That's really super easy. Reroll suffixes, don't touch prefixes. Super easy thing to do. If I wanted to get rid of that strength, I don't really mind though. The only thing I'd rather have on there, it would be a big big intelligence, and so I could upgrade my amulet easier. But I'm not going to do that at this moment, but that is something you guys could think about doing. So I want to touch on how to make the amulet the easy way and, you know, the harder way. And I'm going to explain why the easier way versus the harder way are such a big deal. It is a pain in the ass to make it the best way. And I'm going to explain how much of a pain in the ass is, but I'm also going to tell you the advantage to it. So right now I've allocated charisma because I've switched to this helm. This is something that you could completely skip doing. You could stay with the other helm because this is a pretty expensive purchase, because there's the crafting price, which requires, I mean, if you went with a cheaper craft, it could just cost you the Awakener's Orb and the base, and then just some rolling. I did a video on how to create this, but the hidden cost on this is we also have to have a Enlighten level 4, and then we're also going to have to pick up more reduced reservation. This is an easy spot right here. We get the most reduced reservation that we can pick up anywhere, but then the other biggest reduced reservation is down here, so I've gone ahead and put that on as a anointment because it's just really easy to do that. The alternative to this is, you know, there's so many other things that we could add. Like, we could pick up Doomcast. We could pick up Throat Seeker for 30% multiplier. We could also pick up Frenzy Charges, minimum Frenzy Charge, and then chance to gain Frenzy Charge on kill and 8% increased damage. All of those things would be great for the build. That would add a lot of damage to the build. Configure. So if we were to add Frenzy Charges, that would add like over 10% damage to the build. So just on the 3 base ones, which we would have like we would have one of those charges all of the time, and then when we're mapping, so it'd be 3% more damage all of the time. Well, 3% more damage and 8% increased damage. And since this is a mapping build, maybe you're going to use it as a boss killer. I don't know. For me, it's just a mapper. It works really well on pretty much everything. Like I use it on pretty much everything besides harvest bosses and Sears. And why is that? Because I have an Archmage, which a friend calculated the DPS on it for me today because apparently my version of Path of Building sucks and it doesn't let me do mana calculations, but 67 million DPS. So that is the reason why I'm not going to bother with using this build for Sears or Harvest boss fights. When he dies, the Archmage comes in and yeah, stomps on the enemy. Okay, so there's a lot of really strong choices for anointments that if we can free up this anointment, it lets us get access to another really strong anointment that we would not be able to pick up otherwise. How is it that we could do this? Let's look at the DB. So we're going to be crafting, so if you're going for the +2 amulet, you're going to need two things. You're going to need Hunter Influence Dexterity. And you're going to need plus to level of physical skill gems. The easy way to do this is to just have isolated physical damage to skills and dexterity to level of dexterity skill gems. This will give you a +2 to your Blade Vortex. But it's going to make it impossible, if this is the way that you crafted it, it's going to make it impossible to get rid of that neck enchantment that we'd really like to get rid of. The neck enchantment that we really want to get rid of, we can get rid of with Anger has 20 to 25% reduced mana reservation. This is a bigger reduction to this frees up more mana. It's a bigger reduction to our mana reservation than that anointment. And it's pretty simple to think about. Zealotry and Anger are 50% reservation, and Herald of Fire is 25%. This reduces it by a quarter. That's 12.5% that's being taken off of 100%. Another way to think about it is, I have 2.5 times the reservation of that. So if I were to divide that, I have more reservation. Even if you were to just, like, a really easy way to put it into view for you is, say they were all 50% reservation. If I take 25% and the anointment does 8%, 8% times 3 would be 24% spread out over it. So this would still win by 1%, but it's not, because, we have one that's 25%, which means it's only essentially a 4%, which means the total savings to us is only would only be 8%, 8%, 4%. So we're winning by making that trade, and then we get a better neck anointment. That's just one slot. And we can still go for the best other stuff that's on the bottom, which would be crit chance, crit multiplier. Actually, in my build, the crit chance wouldn't help. We just want multiplier. But what does this mean for us? That means that we're not going to have this in the initial slam, because you have to start with this, because there's no tag that we can use Harvest to get this. So we have to start with this Anger aura already on there. The only other way to get it would be to keep prefixes, reroll suffixes till you just randomly hit that. And I mean, that sounds horrible. that sounds like horrible and just like the biggest gamble ever. That is not the way that I would go about it. Having this harvest mechanic, I would start with the Anger reduced mana reservation. Start with the to level of all dexterity skills. Both of these we can't get with harvest. However, the physical we can get. How can we get it? Block the bottom, have an open slot, and do physical for physical till you hit the +1 to physical to all physical skill gems. This is going to be a little bit of a pain because we have physical here. We also have physical. This is the biggest one. This is 4 for each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 4 times more. That's 1836. So even if this is the only physical, it'd be a 1 out of 36. So this is going to lead you into, if you want to craft this super hard craft, how to do it. You're going to want to isolate. You're going to want your bottom filled up, like 3 stats there, so that that's not getting touched by this. And clear off any physical modifiers that are on the bottom. So if you have a physical modifier on the bottom, remove that, put something else down there so that that's blocked up. Remove anything else that's on the top besides the +1 to dexterity, skill gems. Then you want to craft on a number to number physical damage. Just do the cheapest craft. Then you want to augment physical. And then you're going to have to repeat this process until you hit that +1 to physical. Why is it that we do that? Because this one is 36 possibilities, 36 times more likely that one of these will hit than the +1 to physical skill gems. Let's look at all of the other physical tags and see how much we're increasing our likelihood of hitting that by doing that. So other physical tags, we have this one right here, 1, 5, 9. This is 2,000, so another 8. That's 17. $18, $19, $20, $21. And that is all of them. So this would be the 22nd physical. So it would be a 1 out of 22. That is massively increasing your chance of hitting it, because the other way we would be having a 1 out of 58 chance of hitting the plus to physical spells. So in order to actually do this, you're going to actually have to do a process. To actually get this 1 out of 22 chance, you're going to have to, every time that you don't hit the plus to physical skills, you're going to have to then go remove your craft at your crafting bench. Then you're going to have to use remove physical to take off the stat that didn't hit. Then you're going to have to go back to your crafting bench, craft back on this number to number physical, and then augment physical again. Why is it that you have to do that? If you do remove physical, well, your crafted mod is still on there. It is possibly going to remove your crafted mod, which that's a waste of a craft, because you can guaranteed remove that on your bench by doing remove crafted modifier. It costs you one scouring orb. Don't manually scour your amulet, or you'll lose everything. Do it on your bench. So that is the process. You're going to add a low number physical, the cheapest one. You just want that blocked. Then augment physical. If you don't hit it, you're going to remove your crafted modifier, then use on your harvest bench, remove physical, then you're going to craft back on to block again, and then you're going to augment again, and repeat that process until you hit it. So that sounds like a pain in the ass, which it is going to be a pain in the ass unless you have some luck. I'm going to try it. If you don't ever see me wind up with it, it's because I had no luck. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be doing. Honestly, in the meantime, though, you know, like right now, I can get all the other stats good on it, and that can be something that I just continue to re-roll. The other thing that you could do is you could just go for physical replace physical, and just keep on rolling that till you hit it. I mean, it's a 1 out of 58, but I mean, like, if that's the route you want to go, you're not going to have as good of a chance. A 1 out of 58 is a lot worse than a 1 out of 22. But you could do that, and you could make the amulet, like you could have your HP roll, you could have your crit multiplier, your reduced anger, one other stat on the bottom, and your +1 to dexterity skills, and then you could have that one physical that you just indefinitely roll until you hit your +1 to physical. You could do it that way so that it's like a working item, but you know, a work in progress, which is like, you know, my wand. Either way, you can pick one of those ways to do it. So this is like min-maxed. This is pretty much done. The only thing about this is, you know, eventually I'm gonna go for the life for life swap to get a tier 1. This, you can see that I have this non-channeling skills, -9 to mana cost. Um, so I don't have a ton of mana, but by doing this -9 to mana cost, you know, my Enduring Cry is only 12 mana and only 62 on my Blade Vortex. If I were to take and do 2 of them, I would have Enduring Cry cost of 3 and a Blade Vortex of 53, and my defensive skill is 13 mana. So it would be 4 mana. So you would basically always be able to use your defensive skill, and you would always be able to use your Enduring Cry, and you would never have any issue with casting those things. So that's one thing that you could do to just make it run smoother, running on a low amount of mana. Boots. You can make better boots than these. I've just gone with the Tailwind. I have a really nice set of Tailwind boots. If you want to min-max this, you can add movement speed. We'll go back to the PoEDB. Doing dual mod craft. I'm not completely sure if I'm going to do this, but you know, you might have the currency and be like, I want to min-max this shit right now. I don't want to wait. What do I do? So with this, you're gonna need the Redeemer and Hunter, Tailwind, Elusive. These are going to be like the 2 main things that you want. My personal choice would be doing Elusive, Tailwind, 2 resistances, the dual mod, and HP. A tier 1 HP. That would be like my perfect min-max boots, because that picks me up the Onslaught, which, remember, Onslaught gives us 20% movement speed, so that's an effective 20% increased movement speed, which with as fast as you kill, dude, I've always got up Onslaught. And a tier 1 movement speed is harder to roll on, and it's only 35%. And, you know, unless you're only considering, like, when you're in a boss zone, which the boss fights don't last very long, not even on really high stuff. The only thing that's going to affect as far as you not being able to have Onslaught is going to be like a Sears fight or something like that, which if you're using it as your Sears killer, then, you know, maybe you want to do that. But me personally, I don't want to do that. I want that 20% cast speed. I want the 20% movement speed for a total of 40. That's what I'm going to go for. If I make the dual mods, I will have Tailwind, 2 resistances, which have to be the same 2 resistances or my build doesn't work, a tier 1 life, and the dual mod movement speed and Onslaught. Okay, Headhunter, as far as a mapper, like Headhunter just, as far as movement speed boosts, I mean, it can just boost you so fast that, like, it is best in slot as far as a mapper. Like, for bossing, like, if you're looking for an all-around build, it's not the best thing. Normally what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have either a bossing belt, or, like, if your build's just really OP, then you just don't even care. Like, regular bosses, I don't even care. They just die so quick, it doesn't matter. The build has a ton of damage. As you know, you can see I'm at, what was the one thing? I added something on. Oh no, I didn't have something selected. So 8.555 million that's selected, and this is not counting all of mine. I actually have 477 multiplier, but it's not counting the multiplier from my 2 wands, because, you know, when I'm around anything, pretty much every pack has a rare or unique, but it's not counting that. So yeah, a lot. I already have a lot of damage, and when I make these extra changes, it's just even more damage. Even when I just finish this one, the one stat on this wand is going to be another really big boost. When I get all of my jewel clusters, I'm going to have over 100% more multiplier that I can add there. That's a lot more damage. There's plenty of damage on the build. If you're not going to, if you want an idea, if you're like, I'm not going to get a headhunter, but I want a nice belt, like, I don't want to spend, like, I don't know, like 60, 70 exalts on a headhunter, what else can I get? I'm going to recommend a Warlord Stygen. You could go for a dual mod, but the suggestion that I would give as far as min-maxing the Blade Vortex, and if you're making a DPS belt, this would be the same recommendation. We'll go back to the PoEDB. So this is something that I actually want to do a craft on, but I just don't want to do it right now. You're gonna want a Warlord Stygen. You have to make sure it's the correct level. I mean, get an 86. You find an abyss or buy a base for like 5 chaos. Like if you're going to be creating a Warlord Stygen, there's no reason to not get an 86. Just get an 86. Even though you don't actually need 86, you only need 85. I mean, I guess you could get an 85. There's no. Oh no. Well, you don't want increased elemental damage with attack skills, but if you hit this, it could become really, really valuable to sell. Like really valuable if you got the right stuff on it. So, I'd go for the 86, because you could wind up making something that's really valuable to sell. There are dual influences that you could go for, but what you gain out of them is really going to decide whether it's worth it for you to take. And because you're going to have to use a Warlord's Orb to add the influence to the Stygen, and then you would need another base, an Awakener's Orb, to make a dual influence. If you want to go for the absolute min-max DPS, then that's what you're going to want to do. The suggestion that I would go for is we can get 35%. We can guarantee a 35%. Where is it? What base is it? Spell damage during any flask. Crusader. This is going to be the only thing we want from it. But because it's caster, we're going to be able to guarantee get it on there. What I would do is I would actually put together the Warlord with the Crusader, and then I would craft on everything that I wanted. After I took and I used an essence to put on %pen. You get 5% penetration during any flask, so 5% penetration is going to be really nice. So we would go for % penetration. We'd go for number-to-number fire damage to enemies that are burning, % increased fire damage, and then our other thing on the top would be a tier 1 HP. Then we would go for a Crusader, number % increased spell damage during any flask. The way that you're going to have to do this is you're going to have to do fire add, fire swap. You're going to have to remove the other stuff that's on there, because you can't do remove non-fire, because then you're going to risk removing your penetration during flasks. So don't do that. You're going to guaranteed be able to put this caster modifier on here in your suffixes, because this will be the only caster modifier. So you'll be able to guarantee slam it on, then you'll be able to do caster, remove caster, add caster until you have the tier 1. So that's a guaranteed tier 1 slot. As far as getting these two, what I would do is I would add 1 fire and then reroll it till it's a tier 1, and then I would augment the other one. I would probably, I mean, you could go either way. I mean, if you want it to be perfect, then, you know, obviously you're going to wind up in a situation where if you don't hit tier 1 on that augment, you're going to have to do fire for fire, and then it's going to be a 50-50 chance that you re-roll the right stat. And you're going to want your suffix filled out before you start doing that. But that's going to give you a really nice setup. But you could also just go for Warlord, tier 1 HP, number fire damage against burning enemies, increased fire damage, and then you could go for like your resistances in your suffixes. If that was, you know, if you wanted to go 1 influence, that'd be a lot cheaper to craft. That'd only cost you like an exalt, a little bit over an exalt to craft that. Like that's really a cheap DPS craft. So if you want a cheap DPS craft as like a swap from your headhunter, or if you're not going a headhunter and you want a really strong belt but you don't want to do a headhunter, buy a Warlord's Exalted Orb by itself, get an 86 Stygian base, slam it on there, get your 2 fire mods, put HP on there, or start off with your essence and then craft from there, as I've just described. That'll make a really sweet belt for you, and that will be cheap. I'll probably actually do a craft video on it because it is cheap. So I did a craft video on this. These were really easy to make. They cost me like 30 chaos to do this craft. When you get into the min-max, like I'm gonna wind up changing these out 100% for sure. Why? Because since I'm using the headhunter, I no longer need the dexterity on here. Like before, I needed to pick up dexterity somewhere. These gloves were like awesome for me, but now 2 stats are doing nothing for me. So I am going to recraft. I need that number percent fire damage converted on them, so that's one requirement. And the reason why is because, you know, if my only other way to do it is with Avatar of Fire, which I lose a lot of damage, because it's going to remove all my chaos damage. It makes my Adzeres useless. It makes it so that my Unholy Might is going to be useless. So yeah, like I don't want to do that. So for the craft for this, since I'm no longer using the Indigan, obviously if you're still using the Indigan, then this is still going to be a really good base for you. But since I'm not, I have no use for Energy Shield, so I'm going to go for just a flat physical base, flat strength base for more armor. You're not going to want to use like spiked gloves. Melee damage doesn't help us. So the craft that we will do, or I will do on this, there's a few options that you're going to have for this. Let's switch over. One of the most popular ones is going to be a dual influence. You can go Coaling Strike, and this, like, you can do these two together. Like, you can slam these together. You can take Warlords with Hunters. Then you can have a Nerve. You can have, actually you can't have spell damage. It would be a choice between Unnerve or spell damage. I would definitely go for spell damage, unless you want to drop the HP. I don't. I definitely want the HP. So, you could go Coaling Strike, Unnerve, number percent physical converted to fire with HP. That would be one route. I know some people have gone. You could. The Nerve's a really good damage increase. Like a Nerve and Coaling Strike are kind of like the same. One's adding damage for all of it. The other one's making them just die. At the Coaling Strike, I would take a Nerve over Coaling Strike, and the reason why is because we have extra jewel slots, and I've got Coaling Strike in on my my Wave of Conviction and my Flame Dash, which, you know, when they get low, I can just kill them.
I
So,
cannot do this yet.
or just, you know, cast my Wave of Conviction and they die. So Coaling Strike's really easy. We're not really strapped on slots. I've actually got an extra slot, and I have my Portal Gem in. So as just like a cool craft, sure, the dual influence would be worth it, like if you just want to make that. But looking at stuff in the other ranges, like I said, you know, we already have one slot taken up with Unnerved. We're going to have HP and then the percent physical converted to fire, because that gets us to 100% conversion without making us lose our chaos damage, which is a lot. The only places that we can look is in suffixes. Coaling Strike would be one place. We could go for global critical strike chance here, but, you know, you're going to be able to hit that really high crit chance, and this isn't a lot of crit. It's only up to 30%. I think that's pretty much like really the only good combo if you're gonna go for a dual mod would be like Coaling Strike, and the Unnerve. So that's probably would be like the min max. There's one other option though. This is kind of a this is a harder to get and make, but this is actually very doable. So you can get this right here. Oh, but it's 2 attacks. Never mind, that doesn't work. I'm forgetting this is spells. And never mind on that. Oh wait, here we go. Incursion. Okay, so we could go with this. We could start off with the dual mod. The only thing is this is picking us up fire resistance, which we don't need. But you could get more damage onto the build by doing this. Because this is the equivalent to like a tier 1 number to number fire damage. We can look at, I've got a tier 1 number to number fire damage. So it's close, really close to a tier 1 number to number fire damage. You could buy a base if you wanted to do a really cool craft that has this on it. Then you could slam it with the hunter's exalted orb, and then you could take and, you know, whatever you get on here, it's either going to be attack, which you just remove. This is the only one, increased duration of ailments on enemies. This would be a rip. You'd have to actually no, because you can reroll prefixes and it's a suffix, so actually guaranteed. You buy the base, slam it with the hunter's orb, or you could actually take and slam the suffixes to guarantee that you don't wind up in a situation where you have to reroll the top. And all of these can be guaranteed removed because you have fire, cold, physical, chaos. So if it's not the fire multiplier, you can just remove it. And since you already have the fire percent on there, you can guaranteed slam on the fire multiplier. So yeah, that would be a cool craft to do. Get that damage to burning enemies on there. That would be pretty sweet craft. That would be one way you could min max with a single influence. Have a nerf number percent fire physical damage converted to fire, tier 1 HP, the dual mod resistance and damage to burning enemies, fire multiplier, and something else you want. Alright, Flasks. I'm running the Bismuth Wise Oak at Xeres, Quicksilver, Granite, Adrenaline. The Diamond Flask needs to get switched so that it has the number percent crit, the crafted mod. You can buy these starting at like 15 chaos. For a really nice rolled one, I got a 79% one with the prefix that I wanted for 40 chaos. So, I mean, it's not the biggest investment, but there's a lot of people selling them, so you could get yourself a nice one. The rings have all been covered. I did a video on the wand crafting. I've shown you how good a +1 wand can be. That's pretty much it. We've covered min-maxing every single item. The only thing I'll talk about, the last thing to talk about, is going to be these jewels. Ideal, you want multiplier, well, dual wielding, multiplier, spells, global multiplier. That gives us a 12, 16, 18, and I believe there's some other way you can get higher than global multiplier. But don't get multiplier to fire skills, multiplier to elemental skills. Those won't do anything for you. It's not an elemental skill. We're converting it to fire, but it's a physical. So it needs to be physical multiplier, spell multiplier, or global or multiplier or dual wielding. Just make sure it's not like melee. You got to make sure it's the right multipliers. Anyways, I think that pretty much covers everything. I hope you guys are enjoying the build. Peace.